Leadership from the battlefield. That is what we are going to discuss today as we review the book Extreme Ownership, which is a leadership book written by a Navy SEAL, a group of 2, which will be looking into these guys, what they do, what they have shared in the book. And to help me do that is my good friend Andrew Mutua. Karibu sana.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Extreme Ownership, written by Joko and Leif. Yeah, tell us about these guys.
So what we know about Joko Wilkin and Leif Babin is they are ex-Navy SEALs.
Right.
Very highly decorated ex-Navy SEALs who have put this book together following the experiences that they had through their training and combat operations when they were put or rather assigned to go to Ramadi in Iraq,
right.
Fighting for, of course, the US government. So they have put down very practical, effective leadership principles that they learned from the battlefield.
And the book itself, quite an interesting kind of title, Extreme Ownership. And from when I heard that title from the word go, I thought it is about being, what's the word? Thinking just about yourself, personalizing, what do you own, how do you hold closely what you own. But that is not it quite, yeah? So what does this title, Extreme Ownership, what does it really entail?
So the title is actually their first leadership principle lesson they share, and it provides the underlying foundation upon which all other lessons now sort of derive their prominence from.
Right.
Extreme ownership is the idea that every leader needs to exercise extreme ownership of their mission, of their team, of their organization.
Right.
And this means that if anything goes right or wrong, particularly when things go wrong, they should not look to blame their team or their current circumstances. They need to look to themselves. So extreme ownership is just taking full responsibility, taking full ownership of your mission, of your team, and if anything is impacting on anything that impacts on them, should be a reflection of yourself. So if, for example, if the team is not doing what it's supposed to do, then you should ask yourself, have I communicated effectively the purpose of our mission and what they should do?
Right.
Have I given them the necessary tools and training for them to be able to effect the expected objective? So those kind of questions. So instead of first blaming the team or blaming external circumstances outside of the leader, they should first look to themselves before they blame anything external of themselves.
I really like the fact of extreme ownership, and from my own perspective, I saw it amplifying the rule that we should be able to take 100% responsibility of our action, of where we are at, and what we expect or what is happening around us. And there is no room for excuses. There is no room for blaming. There is no room for just saying things got out of control. There's nothing I could have done about it, or I just did my best. But taking responsibility, in this case, extreme ownership, taking ownership of each and everything that is happening in your life, in your business, in your career, in your family. You are 100% responsible for doing this. And Darren Hardy, I think, also talks about taking responsibilities at 3 levels. What you do, you take responsibility based on what you have done. You also take responsibility on what you have not done, in the sense that if you say you are going to do something and you don't do it, you still need to take responsibility. And also taking responsibility in the sense that whatever happens to you, if you are involved in an accident, it has nothing to do with you, but you can decide to take responsibility and decide how do you live forward as from that point. And I think that is quite well explained in the book, taking extreme ownership. He has also another concept about there are no bad leaders, there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. Tell us something about it.
So this lesson came out of a training session that they had.
Yeah.
So already they had paired various teams together, and they were supposed to compete. And they noticed one of the teams was performing very poorly.
Yeah.
So to change that, what they decided to do is they decided to change the leader only.
Right.
They didn't change the team. And that seems to have done the trick, because that immediately changed the fortunes of that particular team. They later on went on to win and change their performance. So, and this reflects on that very idea that there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. And they emphasize this by saying leadership is the single most important factor in a team or in an organization. If anything is failing, look first to the leader. And this, I guess, also relates very well with that first lesson that we've just spoken about of extreme ownership. So immediately when they changed the leader, that team, the entire performance changed. And the leader, of course, has to set the tone. The leader, of course, has to set very high standards of performance.
Yeah.
And actually a very good idea that they bring up is what you recognize is what happens in an organization is not based on what you say or preach, but rather is based on what you tolerate.
Right.
So if people realize that they can get away with, coming late to the office or sending their reports late, slowly by slowly, without you realizing, is a culture of incompetence, a culture of mediocrity will begin setting in, and that will define your organization. So as a leader, you need to be right at the forefront, pushing for high standards and ensuring nothing gets done until those high standards are attained. So that's the whole essence of that lesson.
Okay, and I also want to just take you back. We had discussed about how comes that Joko and Leif tend to be giving us very practical kind of leadership training and skills that you can be able to use, rather than most of the books that you get, which are very academic, very theoretical. But I think the fact that these are leadership skills they're getting from the field. I think going in for a battle is not a very good, it's not a very comfortable kind of experience. And leading from the comfort of a very spacious, well-furnished office. And the kind of decisions that you make are, you make them at the moment that they need to be taken at that particular point, and still taking responsibility of this action. Deciding that I will do this. If things go well, I still take, I think you don't actually take the glory. You put it across the team did it. But when things go bad, you take responsibility.
You take it 100%. Oh yes, that's a very important point. He talks of you bestow the credit to your subordinates, your junior leaders and the rest of the team. But when anything goes wrong, you take 100% responsibility of that and you work towards changing it for the better.
There's also aspect of decentralized command, where it is quite interesting, and unfortunately most of our organizations do not allow people in the team to be in a position to make a decision. A scenario, someone will be in the field talking to a client, then a client asks a question, then will say, let me ask my boss, my supervisor, then the supervisor will need to ask for the boss, and then the boss asks their boss before a decision is made. And one of the principles he talks about, for a good leader, you should be able to decentralize the command, such that someone who is in the field can be able to, they have the liberty to make a decision, and of course they know to a certain limit, and whatever the outcome, they still take responsibility. They still take extreme ownership for that. I don't know if there's something you can add on that aspect of decentralized.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. That whole idea of empowering your junior leaders or the people that report to you, to enable them to make decisions and lead with confidence. Because one, as a leader, particularly one, if your organization begins to scale up, you've probably started off as a one-man operation, later on begin hiring, later on you're opening operations across a particular geographical spread.
Yeah.
So you can't be everywhere. And if as a leader you want to allow yourself to still have the privilege of having that big picture view, and ensuring that the strategic mission is still not affected, you need to ensure that your junior leaders can still be able to operate effectively. And this is all by empowering and trusting that the decisions they will make will be the right decisions for the right time. Of course, there might be some lessons learned, but it's all about empowering them. Once that culture sets in, they also take on that extreme ownership culture.
Ah, okay.
So they take so it cascades down through to the entire organization.
Discipline equals freedom. It looks like oxymoron or
Yes.
paradox.
Yes.
And in the book, he talks about several statements that he tries to expound on the fact that discipline
Yes.
equals freedom.
Yes.
I know you can tell us something about it and maybe take us through some of these.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll mention discipline. You can tackle others.
Yes.
I think discipline, as you said, it looks like an oxymoron when you say discipline equals freedom.
Right.
Because when you think of discipline, you imagine strict order, control, regimen, things that have to happen in a certain flow.
Yeah.
But freedom is just the power to say, act and do whatever you want to do without any restrictions.
Right.
So how does discipline equal freedom? So examples of discipline equals freedom are things like, imagine when you wake up early every morning. What does that allow you? It rewards you with more time probably that you could spend with your family, more time that you could probably spend, improving yourself in other aspects. If the entire day was spent maybe with regards to your profession or business, whatever career or income generating activity that you're involved in.
Right.
So that's one example. I don't know if you have others that you can think of.
I think the fact that you are disciplined, you do things in a certain way at a specific time, it gives you the freedom that you don't waste time deciding, now what do I do? How do I do it? So it is a decision that is made way in advance, beforehand, and makes it easier for you to do some of the stuff. Yeah, and I think in the book he talks more of, there's the dichotomy of leadership. Several statements that really piqued my interest, and I think I can be able to read some of them here. That as a leader, a good leader should you should have confidence, or be confident, but not being cocky. Yeah, there's something to do with you should be very competitive, but also a gracious loser. Talking about as a leader, you should be a leader and also a follower. Being humble but not passive. And I think being quiet and not silent. And I think there's a big difference between being a listener, a good listener, but at the same time you're not just quiet. Yeah. So these are quite good quotes from the book, right? Anything that you'd like to add on top of that?
I think there are a lot of them. You can think of courageous but not foolhardy.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking of taking a step, maybe something that has not been done before, there's no precedent, or something that is very brave, you can still be courageous, but you won't be foolhardy such that you won't think through the actions that you would take. You might need to do some research, you might need to prepare yourself effectively to counter whatever that thing is. So it's this kind of dichotomies that make up a leader, certain statement that seems to be polar opposites, but yet we need to have a balance and understand how to be an effective leader. You need to understand the two ends, the two spectrums, and in a sense espouse those qualities.
Yeah, that is right. I think this is a very great book. If you're a leader, I highly advise go get the book Extreme Ownership. If you are in a position not necessarily of leadership, but there are some people who are following you, you are leading them in a formal setup or an informal setup, it is very advisable for you to get the book Extreme Ownership. Anything that you'd like to add as we finish up about the book?
I think I'll leave you on the same quote. I put this on the blog post, and it's a statement that it's a quote that John C. Maxwell, one of the foremost authorities on the subject of leadership, said. He said, everything rises and falls on leadership. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you sticking in and staying with us all this time, listening to or watching this video. So I would just want to request that you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also press the bell button so that you can get notification each and every time we upload a new video. And at the same time, leave a comment. Let us know, how did you find this review about the book Extreme Ownership? If there's any other book that you'd like us to review, please also leave it in the comment and we will be able to respond to all of them. Otherwise, thank you very much and see you next time.
Booyah!
Out.